know I'm the only thing between you and the rest of your evening with a last name that starts with a W that's kind of like deja vu. So try and keep it quick and simple. So why am I here is probably a very important question that I'll try and answer in the next slide here. We actually represent a very small, closely held company. There's two organizations. The first is Alliance and the second is Xplora. And one is an offshoot of the other. At Xplora, we're boat builders, we're new boat builders, so we get a lot of leeway. It means we can make a lot of mistakes and we're the new kid on the block. It also means we don't have to do anything the way everyone else has. At Alliance Management Group, that's a consulting organization. So the benefit there is we get to think, and we get to think about things in a very logical way. So when we started off trying to get investment, it was very interesting. We looked at the industry and we were trying to explain why we were going to build a boat. I mean, everyone has a passion at some point about building a boat, but the reality of this is you have to fund it. And the data you see on this slide is very alarming. Previous slide, it wakes you up. And then, of course, the investors start asking, well, Apple built phones in China, designed in Cupertino, but they're built in China, so why can't we do boats? Some of the other questions, why we have to build them here, why can't we build them overseas? But what about globalization? And how does Trump help us, and tariffs and everything else? It then comes clear to us that if we're going to try and do this, and most importantly, I think, for everyone who's in the room, make money at this, we really need to put things on their head and figure out why things are being done the way they are, and for the sake of our investors, make sure that we figure out why we're doing what we're doing and how we're doing them. So, to the credit of my partners and investors and advisors, we've been asked to really sort of study every single step of this, unwrap things and say, does it really make sense to do everything that's been done in the way we have? So this is a really simple way for us to explain how we've broken apart our business. And tomorrow we're going to be talking about the printing aspect, the detail of why we did 3D printing and additive manufacturing. But for us, we had to really back down and ask ourselves, if we see what other people are doing, and very often to us it looks like they're ignoring key elements of their business model that they shouldn't be, then why should we do the same thing? Or should we step back and sort of say, look, do we really want to do this? Do we really want to follow a model that appears to be nonlinear? And I'll explain what nonlinear means in a moment. But it's pretty significant for someone who's putting in huge amounts of money to think about how you're doing something, whether or not you should be doing it the same way. Here's Amazon. People may not know this, but Amazon, I think a couple of weeks ago, introduced a talking microwave. So who's ever going to want to talk to the microwave? I bet they're going to sell a boatload of those microwaves. If you look at the market and the customer, it's clear to us that every business has a momentum and an inertia. And so can we build a boat quickly enough to address that changing market inertia? And there are lots of examples today where if you look at the boating industry, you'll see products that don't really match what the market is demanding. Production is a several-hour-long topic. Many elements in here. I'll just cover some of the very, very simple ones, the ones that are glaring, like labor statistics. The average daily wage in Thailand is $10. It's $200 up on the west coast where I'm from. So if you have a really good employee, you could double their daily wage to $20, and it would make them an exceptionally happy worker. You've got to look at the cost of labor in different places around the world and figure out why does it make sense to do what you're doing. And then at every other aspect of production, tooling is another huge, huge, huge expense. It's like awesomely, hugely risky. What if nobody likes the boat? What do you do with all those $1 million of tooling? For us, we asked our sister company, Alliance Management, to go and study that. That resulted in this additive manufacturing project. That's a picture of the printed mold that we'll be talking about tomorrow. And I think, as the gentleman from Gucci said, we've certainly crashed and burned and rebuilt and got up and moved forward. But that is, at this point, we think, the world's largest printed production mold. Significant cost savings. Supply chain. I really wish this was my business, but the entire supply chain for us in the boating industry seems to be kind of maybe super expensive and sub-optimized. And so while I wish I had the kinds of budgets that were being spent building boats like this, sadly that isn't the case, and we're forced to look at simple things like, well, what's the best battery system for our boat? And so in some areas we've done what everyone else has done and bought from distribution and what the products are out there. in some areas, as Nigel mentioned, we've stretched beyond. So electrical systems is an area where, when you look at our work, you'll say, yeah, that's pretty darn innovative. But can anyone service that? Well, we don't know, we think so. Sales and marketing, another element of the overall boat builder chain. This is very interesting because it mirrors some of the boat registrations that I think we heard about earlier on with the shift in the economy and the Great Recession. Things look like they're picking up slightly. But it looks like boat dealers are making a lot of money. And I wonder, if you look at what's going on in technology, whether or not that will be the same. And so if we're a new boat builder, do we want to invest in the same sales and marketing distribution? I don't know. We don't see boat brokers and boat distributors taking much attention of the wealth gaps in the country or even generational changes. So those are two key points that give us great cause for concern. Organizational impact is another. It's interesting to see how there's huge amounts of consolidation happening. Companies that are large buying companies that are small, and not many profitable boat builders around. So I think this actually can be an advantage for a boat builder today, because when you're a large organization, you have huge momentum. It's difficult to shift production. It's difficult to train a worker to do something in a different way as you introduce the new model. So from our perspective, the current environment is a huge opportunity for us to sit down, relook at the industry and say, can we do things differently? And in that process, maybe be the next Amazon, or the next Starbucks, or the next Costco, if you go back a generation or two. So we're not really a regular boat builder. I would say that we're taking advantage of that. And results will show whether or not we're successful. I think the early stage achievements and accomplishments are good. We feel it's better to surprise. So if you go out and Google Xplora Yachts, you'll find precious little, because we'll be trying to walk with a quiet step and talk a little more when we have something to show for it. In closing, we'd love to reach out and share ideas and brainstorm. If you're doing something a new way that you'd like us to take a look at, we'd love to hear from you. And if there's something we're doing that you think might be of value, please feel free to send an email. Thank you.